Well, I think the people of Canada, Quebec, and the world need to know that the success rate in Arc-en-Trois is not even close to 70 to 76%, as Mark Bernard has said, and Brad Melnichuk from ABLE said to the government in a government hearing. Part of my job in Arc-en was to look at these calculations, and I had approached Brad Melnichuk on one occasion about the success rate being far below 70%, and he said to me that it was a concern to him too, and he was looking into it. I also told Mark Bernard I was concerned about it, and I also told Lynn Peru. I was told at that time to just move on to another job that I was instructed to. When I was there, I was my post was a graduate officer in charge of building a foundation and also contacting relapsed people. When I started contacting relapsed people, it was incredible how many had relapsed, and the figures started coming in that it was far below 70%. In fact, some of the figures that we were coming up with, that I was coming up with, were in the 40%. And it's incredible how they do that to advertise, promote their 70 to 76% success rate on the internet and in brochures and on the phone to potential clients that are coming in. They'll state that the success rate is 70%. So these people coming into Arc-en or inquiring about Arc-en have a reasonable expectation, in my view, of a high success rate. In fact, when they go in, or their sponsor or parents send them in, I believe they have a reasonable expectation of success, at least 3 out of 4, and it's simply untrue. At one time I was told to use the worldwide stats for Arc-en, and I said, no, you can't do that, because we're advertising that Arc-en-Trois has a high success rate, which it doesn't. And even if you did take the whole world stats in, I just received some stats from Australia, where their calculations were 1% off what mine are, and they didn't know what mine were. So it's very deceitful. So when students go through Arc-en-Trois and then they leave again, many relapse within 1 day or a week, and they're just dumbfounded as to why. I mean, I do know why, but in many cases, but trying to get them back in, or when they try to get back in, it's very difficult. I approached my superior once, Andre Ahern, about bringing relapses back in, and he says, well, we don't want to bring in more than 5. And I said, okay, 5 a week? And he said, no, 5 here at a time. It does influence the students that are there, that have paid the $23,000, when they see a lot of relapses coming in, because they feel like this isn't working, it's not going to work, there's too many relapses here. So they contact their parents or sponsors, and they start to wonder and get nervous. So not only do they hesitate to bring people back in because they've relapsed for financial reasons, because you only pay half the price to come back in for a relapse, which some people have come back in 3 times. It's a PR thing where they need to keep the status quo of 70 to 76% success rate. Can I prove that it's below 70%? Absolutely. Discussed it with one government official, and we're just waiting for some more surveys to come in, and once that's done, I think Arc-en and Scientology is going to be there's going to be a rude awakening, and I think the misrepresentation which I received from one government official, I think even further than that, I think it needs to go to the Competition Bureau and to high levels of government. I have spoken to high levels of government and assured them that when it does go to a hearing or court, that absolutely I'll testify. And others are starting to come forward now since the Mark Allard did that piece, and they're not quite afraid anymore, and they're supporting me, and I think that's great. reason why it's been so squashed down and suppressed by Scientology and narcolepsy around the world over the last few years is because people are afraid. And when you first step forward, yeah, it's pretty scary. But once you start getting support from people around the world, and especially people from Anonymous, who have been unbelievable in supporting me, and I just want to thank them all very much. And Jerry Armstrong, and Paul Schofield. Paul Schofield's children, you know, they met their demise at the hands of Scientology, and it's very, very disturbing to me. And they want to take my freedom of speech away from me, my charter rights. And I walked out of Hayden and Blakey's office last week. I wanted to see my children. I knew that was a ticket to see my children. But I walked out without the check. I went home and I checked my email. And there was money sent to me by PayPal, 3 different amounts. Now I can see my children and meet with Jerry Armstrong in Vancouver to go to the protest on the 17th. And thank you, Anonymous.